North South Connection Podcast Network.
Hey,
Welcome to this No Holds Barred Special Edition What If series. We're here every other Wednesday, video only exclusive. So if you have friends that are like, I love North South Connection, but I only listen, tell them to get over to the video YouTube channel so they can see these what ifs as well. The other cool thing with what if is we want it to be interactive. So leave your what if ideas in the
yep,
comments and also leave any thoughts you have on the way we play things out in there as well. So.
for sure. Yeah, because you might have a completely different idea about if Hogan beat the Warrior or anything like that, and it might be a better idea than we have because we're just two idiots, right?
Yeah, just dumbasses. So definitely share those thoughts, and again, put any suggestions because we do use viewer suggestions, just like we're going to do tonight. So tonight's,
now,
yeah, right this second, tonight's
or today.
idea. Okay.
Maybe. Well, hold on. Should we say tonight?
Today.
What if they're not listening into this,
All
watching
right,
this
we're
tonight?
recording at night, whatever.
more
Our
questions. I
suggestion
wanna make
tonight
Richard
comes
comfortable.
from a dedicated viewer, Lardy70s or 70s. 70s. I'm gonna go 70s. Lardy 70s. He asks, or she asks, I guess I'm assuming, was Lex Luger supposed to win at SummerSlam '93? So we're taking that as what if,
What if?
in the form of a what if, Lex Luger won at SummerSlam '93 the world title from Yokozuna. So this is a fun one. We haven't really touched on this era just yet, but
So we have an idea of what it looks like because when he won by countout, they still dropped confetti and he celebrated as though he had won the world title. So we know what it would look like.
Yeah, we have a vision of that moment. But I like to do this. I like to throw this at you out of the gate on these. Gut reaction. Is it very different? Not different at all? Or maybe somewhat?
Very different. I think very different for a multitude of reasons, for a multitude of different people. Because Luger himself has this reputation, which I think is stupid in the world of wrestling, but the reputation of a choker, right? If he wins here, that kind of goes away right away.
Yeah.
Like within a year of being in the promotion, he's the world champion. So that already is gone, right? And I really believe that him losing that match is what actually ends up. I don't think it's the only reason.
Well, he had choked a bunch. He had choked already before in Crockett / WCW. So he came in a little bit with that label already, dating back to Starrcade '88 or whatever with the blood stoppage. And so like he had a couple of choke jobs already on his resume. So this, like, to fans that were knowledgeable of like everything, it was like, oh, another Luger choke. But to new fans that just learned about him, yes, it already sets him up to be the guy that chokes.
Well, I think, like, look, I don't want to get too much heat for saying this, but especially at that time, it really felt like the WWF was the show and WCW was not. So I think, like, I think him winning on the big stage in WWF would be enough to swipe that slate clean.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because nobody really, like, I mean, like, when I was watching '93, I knew who Lex Luger was through the PWIs and whatnot, but nothing more than that, right? Like, I didn't get the show, I didn't get this, and I would say that was probably similar to a lot of people in Canada, right? And so we knew who he was. So the idea, like, I couldn't have told you in 1993 that he lost at Starrcade.
No,
could now.
Definitely not. Definitely not. So if he wins, we could take two approaches here. One is, what would they potentially have done? And two, what would we have done? So, like, I think it's two ways to look at it, right? I'm guessing his winter stays similar, right? He probably still fused with Ludwig. He was being set up as the Ludwig Borgo was being set up as kind of the top heel going into the fall. So I think Survivor Series stays pretty similar.
I think he probably fights Ludwig at the Rumble.
Right. So I guess that's my question is, like, where does Undertaker fit in to, like, this whole stretch, right? Because they set him up as Yokozuna's next contender at Survivor Series. So that obviously goes away because I don't think we're getting that quick into Luger's world title run a feud with a face Undertaker. So
no, but I think you could probably still do Undertaker Yoko.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is that just still the feud? Yeah,
I think so. Because Undertaker up until that point had been all about fighting the monsters.
Right.
Yeah,
so you do that anyway.
If you weren't ready to make the Undertaker champion yet, then that's the next step for him. Except it's not for the title. Now, I'm curious if he still goes away for WrestleMania 10 and takes that vacation.
I think he needed that time off. I think that was like so I think he does. So the question is, do you still do the casket fiasco at the Rumble and do that, or is he get hurt some other way to miss that time? Is he in the Rumble? Because is Taker Yoko really a Rumble match if there's no title? Does that, instead of both guys in the Rumble, and maybe he gets gang attacked in the Rumble match, which actually makes a little bit more sense in that setting.
They put him in a casket. They could do everything they did. They don't even really have to.
I mean, they did it in '93, the year before, Gonzalez, right? I mean, he beats the shit out of him in the Rumble.
Providence can still have the Undertaker ascending to the ceiling. I know you want to keep it.
So now the big question is, who wins the Rumble? So this is why I'm wondering, is Yoko in the Rumble? Because does Yoko win 2 in a row and Luger get a no? So is it Bret? Are we getting Bret Luger at Mania? What else is there?
Are you ready for a crazy idea?
Crush.
No. Here's a crazier idea. We still end in a tie, and the winners are Bret Hart and Bob Backlund. You play off Bob Backlund the year before. You give Backlund the first shot at Luger. You still have because I don't want to touch Bret Owen, and you could tie it all in to Bob Backlund's insanity later in the year. The only argument you lose is that he never got a title shot, but you could finesse that somehow.
What if it's Bret and Owen?
And then he has to beat Owen to get
the title shot? They have to fight at Mania. Instead of Luger having 2 matches, you basically do the WrestleMania 30, where it's Bret and Owen fight in the beginning of the show. I guess the only difference is now Bret has to win, because you're not going to do Luger Owen.
No.
Savage, but you already get Savage Crush, but maybe you don't start that.
Yeah.
But I think we know how they feel about Savage.
Yeah.
I think Bret's your answer, but you're going to lose Bret Owen.
I don't think you have to. I think you can still do what they did.
I just don't see them doing Backlund, though.
I don't either, sadly. Because I always had this idea. My idea for 93 was always my idea for 93 was always heel Luger beats Bret at SummerSlam.
Right.
And then like you do the same kind of finish, but with Backlund in the Luger role at Rumble. But you're probably right, they won't do it. But then again, I was shocked they gave him 62 minutes the year before. Right? That doesn't seem like...
Yeah, but he was kind of washed by this point. It's a miracle they ended up turning him heel in the middle of the year.
And to make him champion later in the year.
I don't think they were even probably planning that at that point. Yeah, I think the setup of this question, starting with Luger Yoko, hamstrings us a bit, because if he just said, what if Luger was champion in 93, we could have maybe done it as Narcissist and set things up differently, right? But we're starting with him as the babyface. So
in theory, you don't want to lose the ladder match.
All right, so you can't do Shawn. I mean, because Shawn Bret's an option too.
Yeah, but you don't want to lose Bret Owen, right? I guess the only other flip side to all of it is if you flip the belt to Bret at Rumble and have Owen win the Rumble. But that, again, doesn't feel super strong.
No. I mean, does Luger maybe it is Yoko. I can't see him going too straight. Ludwig? Or is Luger definitely beating him already at the Rumble? What if it's not Ludwig at the Rumble? What if Ludwig wins the Rumble?
Doesn't he get hurt, though? Maybe he doesn't get hurt. You do Ludwig Bret at the Rumble? Is that what you mean?
No, just Ludwig wins.
Oh. Well, are you still crowning Bret at 10? Probably not. Maybe
no. That's what I'm saying. So we got to talk that out too. Yeah. Like, is Luger? Are they really going to kneecap him at Mania for Bret, or they've committed to him now? Is he going to run?
No, if you
believe the urban legend, he was going to win, right? That's the urban legend. Yeah. He was going to win at Mania. So I would assume if he's world champion, he's not running his mouth off or whatever else. We don't have the split pop at the Rumble with Bret and Luger where they start to rethink it. So I think you just might get Bret Owen at Mania and Luger retaining the title.
I mean, I would like if we're doing that, I'd almost rather Savage. But again, they won't do it.
No.
We keep saying that, but would they put Borga in a main event at WrestleMania also?
No,
right? They're not going to put Yoko again against Luger at WrestleMania.
Let me throw an outside the box pick at you. How about Bigelow?
doesn't feel like a big enough match. Like, because I'm thinking, like, to go back again, if we do the Rumble finish with Bret and Bigelow going out together, you can maybe do something interesting there. And it does tie into their history at the Royal Rumble and other matches too. But you think once they get like if you're putting Bigelow, you think Luger's just steamrolling him?
I think Luger's retaining at Mania in this world. Because I don't think they have a reason not to. If that was kind of their mapping. When he lost at SummerSlam, or he didn't win the title, their plan was for him to just win at Mania. Like, that was the plan.
Right.
It changes along the way because they start to lose faith in him. So I guess you have to assume, as champion, are they still losing faith in him? But based on what they do with Diesel, like a year later, I think they ride him until he either really the wheels fall off, or he gets hot. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to ride him for a while, I think. I think Bret only gets that run because they realize he's more over than Luger, and it's not too late to backpedal. I think, I don't know, like fucking Tatanka. I don't know, like who's that? You turned Tatanka earlier, but none of these feel like WrestleMania 10 main events. But that's because the best guys are tied up in stuff. Bret and Owen and Shawn and Razor.
Yeah. Look, who do you have left? Like that are actual stars, right? You got
guys.
You got Lawler, you got Savage, Bam Bam. I'm just looking at the roster for the 94 Rumble because that seems closest. That kind of, and Tatanka, I guess, but I wouldn't want to,
No, that's what I mean, yeah.
None of these are good choices.
Quebecers.
Unless you turn Bret heel. And you do Bret Luger
heel because they're going to do the Bret Owen. They want to do Bret Owen. Bret wants to do Bret Owen. You're going to get Bret Owen. Like, that was the feud. He wanted to do that to get Owen over. Well, they wanted to do a brother feud, right? And then he picked Owen. So that's happening and I think in my mind that's happening no matter what. So I think the question is, I think the path is I think Bret just wins the Rumble, and then Owen challenges him to a match at Mania, and Bret says fine. Like, he finally pushes him, right? He kicks his leg, calls the tag title. Bret somehow wins the Rumble, but Owen pushes him to say, like, prove you're the excellence of execution. Beat me and win the title at Mania. And then you could still have Owen win and Bret still fight Luger, but maybe Bret loses both now. And you can blame Owen.
If you're going to do all that, which necessitates the cage later. If you're going to do all that, then you can't have Bret beat Luger at the end of the night.
No, that's what I'm saying. So Bret beats Owen beats Bret, and then Luger beats Bret, and it's Bret's awful night. He had a bad Mania. Owen is in his head. Owen hurt his leg. But let me throw out one other option.
Yeah.
Good. No, good.
No, go. You want to throw out the option?
No. Because it sounds like you were picking up where we were, and mine's a whole different path.
Well, look, I mean, if Owen beats Bret and Bret beats and Luger also beats Bret, I kind of think you probably need to have Bret win the King of the Ring, to keep going, and then maybe he fights Luger again at SummerSlam, fresh. Yeah. And that's the big match.
Or you could have, if you really want to double down, you have Bret Owen in the King of the Ring final, and Owen beats him
again.
And then
Bret just keeps losing.
Well, you get Diesel. Is Diesel still ramp up? I mean, do you get Luger Diesel at King of the Ring? Like, do you still follow that path?
I don't think so. I don't think Diesel's in the picture here. If Luger has a successful run, now we're dancing around it, and maybe you were going to mention it, but I wanted to mention it before I forget. What if Luger at some point turns during this run?
So that's not what I was going to mention, but I like it. So here's what I was going to mention, and then we can talk about the heel turn.
Yeah.
There's a guy that is a special ref at Mania.
Yes.
Right? That cost Luger and was setting up a feud with Luger. So does Mr. Perfect come back a little sooner, and did they just fucking pay him, right? His Lloyd's premium, and be like, listen, we're going to pay for you to wrestle. And then you get Luger Perfect at Mania.
The rematch from the year before.
So then you get Luger Perfect, Bret Owen, Razor Shawn. I mean, is that much worse than what we got? I think it's what we got. It's better than what we got with Bret Yoko and Luger Yoko.
Yeah. Yeah. But is Bret just doing one match then? Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Bret Owen, Razor Shawn, Luger Perfect. Yoko, you can want to do Yoko Tatanka, maybe something like a revenge for or Borg is gone. You do Yoko Tatanka revenge for Yoko, costing him his undefeated streak.
Right.
Savage Crush. I think you pay the Steiners not to go to Japan. You do Steiners Quebecers. There's ways to make that card pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do we want to just make the Bret Hart win still, like at the, because I mean, if you're doing, what were we just saying? Damn it. Fuck.
No, perfect. Yeah. So I just Bret give up the title shot to fight Owen.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Perfect comes in and takes the Perfect's replacement, right? Gets named as I don't think you have Perfect. Yeah, I don't think you have Perfect come back for the Rumble. I don't think.
Because if you did, they could tie, and then you could have Luger. Luger is a heel, but he's not a heel in this scenario, right?
No.
So then no, yeah. Then you do if Luger was a heel. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Well, where do you think his reign ends? I guess let's get there, because I mean, I think this could affect Backlund, and it could affect Diesel. I think both of them could really get screwed out of this, because it depends how hot he is as he's going through. So if he fights Perfect, maybe he still fights Diesel at King of the Ring.
I think he gets to SummerSlam.
So do we not get Bret Owen at SummerSlam though?
Well, in your scenario, let's play out the scenario where Bret loses to Luger in the main event after losing to Owen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then imagine Bret wins the King of the Ring or whatever. Or and then maybe that's where Owen has to finally banish Owen in doing that cage match. All this time, Luger should probably be champion.
Yeah, I think I'd say he fights Diesel at King of the Ring. Same concept.
Yeah.
Diesel gets the Brocket push because he has a good showing.
He'll beat Diesel.
And now you got Bret Owen in the cage.
I think what you could do at 94 with Luger on top is you could do Luger Shawn. Like, was Shawn hurt there?
No, he wrestles before SummerSlam. I mean, they win the tag belt the night before. So you do Luger Shawn main event.
That'd be a great main event. Like,
still do Razor Diesel on a card, Bret Owen.
Yeah.
There's one other option you could do. You could do Luger sells out to DiBiase. So you could do a twist of what they did with Tatanka, but get him out of the way. And you do DiBiase says, I'm bringing The Undertaker back at SummerSlam.
Oh, I see.
And I'm bringing Undertaker back. He sold out. Luger's like, I'll fight him. There's no way he sold out. He did not sell out. Undertaker shows up at SummerSlam. DiBiase's in the corner. Taker he's like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And then DiBiase helps Luger retain as a heel.
And that's how maybe
Bret. Yeah, and then maybe Bret beats Luger at Survivor Series. Or Diesel, or whatever.
Or you have Bret beat him at WrestleMania 11.
Yeah, if you want to keep him heel that much longer. I mean, it eradicates Backlund and probably kills the Diesel reign.
But I think that Diesel is almost a direct link to Luger not working.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like,
yeah, but he gets over anyway.
Sure, but he doesn't necessarily need to win the title there, right?
No.
Like, it might just push it all forward, because Luger, I mean, maybe Diesel gets fired. Who knows, right? But Luger is the guy taking over the Hogan rule, right? That's always his job. I'm going to be the Hogan. And then if they do it and it works, well, then everything's going to get pushed back. He's going to have that belt for a while, right? Like,
or at least be in the mix for a while.
Yeah, Bret's going to be on the undercard fighting Owen. Maybe Bret still fights Backlund. Like, maybe it's just not for the belt. Maybe we still do the Backlund snapping or whatever. I could see Luger being kept separate than Bret until they have to eventually fight and Bret dethrones him.
So maybe he beats him at 11. Does Luger still leave in 95? I think he stays around. Why would he leave now? He's a world champion after a big run. Going to be positioned. Yep. So that affects everything he does in WCW. Like, I don't know if and when he goes back. Maybe at some point he jumps when the money starts flying, but I don't think it changes WCW much initially, because this Sting and Luger stuff's great, but I don't think it affects the trajectory of the NWO at all.
No.
So the question
it doesn't need to be Luger in that match to make it feel more special when Hogan's turn. I mean, it does. I feel it does help, but that's only because of how they booked it.
I mean, like Flair.
You need someone who's like of sketchy moral character.
Right. Yeah, I think Flair would have been fine.
Yeah, Flair,
you do Savage Flair and Sting or whatever. The So does this affect Sean in 96, or is he still Rise? So Bret wins at 11. Is he holding it till 12 to lose to Sean? Or does Luger get it back and lose to Sean?
I think after, I think in our scenario we just talked about, Luger's kind of the face until the very end, right?
No, he's a heel. Yeah, he turns heel at SummerSlam in the double turn. Not double turn, but whatever. DiBiase sets up the Undertaker.
Yeah.
He becomes the centerpiece of the corporation, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that because that corporation's such poison.
Yeah, but maybe it's not the same fucking guys. If you're gonna build it on a Luger as champion, you're probably not sticking Volkov in there. I mean, like it's probably just DiBiase with Luger, and then maybe you add in Bigelow and IRS or something as backup or something like that. But
or maybe you turn the Steiners and put them together too, like almost like a reverse, like a reverse All Americans.
Yeah, you could do that. Do they still bring Sid in 95 as like a heel? You know what I mean? Like as the bodyguard
for Sean. It just depends what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, now we're way ahead, right? I think it all just depends.
I think this is a whole other track, like because you got Diesel in a different role, you got Sean in a different role, you got Luger in a different role. Yeah,
I think it all depends on if you actually do that turn at 94. Do you put him with DiBiase there, or do you have him still as a face fighting Shawn Michaels? I think either one of those is pretty interesting. I personally always wanted a Lex Luger Shawn Michaels match. I think it would have been really good. Yeah. But I think depending on what you do there colors the rest. Because if you keep Luger face, you could conceivably keep him face all the way till WrestleMania 11, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that's insane. I think, and then you could have a face match with Bret and have Bret beat him, right? Mm-hmm. If you keep him heel, same idea, just Bret's the face. That what changes is after. I think it's probably better for Luger if he's a face until 11 and then turns heel after.
Or you turn him in. You could do a Razor Luger feud in the winter because Razor's not doing a ton. So maybe he finally gets, a world title feud as a face, trying to chase down Luger before Bret beats him.
I think no matter what, no matter what in these scenarios, I do think it kind of improves. It improves 93 and it seems to improve 95.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does to 94.
I mean, what I'd like to do is, I think it's a good place to end because we really focus on if Luger wins the SummerSlam, what his next year looks like. I think there's another one in here we can do that's basically like, what if 95 was different? We just talk about the options of 95. Like, what could 95 have looked like if you mix things up and do things? We don't have to be radical. We can just say with the guys they had starting in January of 95, by the end of 95, like what could they have done differently? I think that's like its own world.
And why is Bret Hart the answer to all the problems?
We can use pieces of this, but I think we told the story of Luger's next year and a half. I mean, I think trying to go beyond that is too much of a puzzle for what these are meant to be because much fucking changes.
And they could go so far either way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, depending on what you physically do after.
He could be champion for 3 months or he could be a year and a half. There's so much potential because you're assuming they want to crown Bret in 95. But if they get to Luger, Bret was always just their backup. So if Luger's the guy and it's working, why are they giving Bret the run? Like, to me, Luger just is going to mow through WrestleMania 11 and then maybe eventually they find the heel to take it off and then crown Shawn. But
imagine Bret is the surprise at the first Nitro.
Right. Does he leave?
He never got that run, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he might leave.
Wow.
All right. Let's get out of here before we really fuck up. So what if every other Wednesday right here, North South Connection video only. Check us out on No Holds Barred every Saturday on North South Connection. That's video and audio. Subscribe on all the podcast feeds. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on social media so you don't get what ifed right out of existence.
Don't get what ifed.
Dookie's drops.
Boom.